The FBI now targeting a single assailant in the death of Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick. That's according to two sources familiar with the investigation. The 42-year-old was injured during the January 6th Capitol riot and died the next day. NBC News Justice correspondent Pete Williams joining me now. Pete, Capitol Police said Sicknick was injured while physically engaging with protesters. Now authorities are targeting a specific suspect. What can you tell us here?
Well, just like you said, the original theory was that somebody struck him, maybe hit him in the head with a fire extinguisher. That has pretty well faded away, and the thinking over the last several weeks has been that maybe this was a cumulative effect of repeatedly being sprayed with a chemical irritant. So what the FBI has done here is tried to search through all the videos in which the officer can be seen and look at who was around him. And what we're now told is that they believe that they have identified a person who sprays Officer Sicknick with some sort of chemical irritant. The only problem is they don't know who that person is. They're not able to identify that person yet. Now, you can be sure that this is a very, very extensive investigation, and the FBI has used lots of means to try to figure out who was in the Capitol building. The one that they exploited the most often is all these tips that they've gotten from pictures, wanted posters, videos, and so forth that were posted, people saying, aha, I know who that is. And that's what has led to a lot of the 300 charges that have been filed so far. Secondly, we know that the FBI has used facial recognition software. And thirdly, we believe, and there's some indication in a court document that was recently filed, that the FBI has gotten the cell phone numbers of everybody who was in the Capitol that day. And I say that because there's a reference in a court document to the FBI having what it calls an exclusion list of identification numbers of people who were authorized to be in the building. Members of Congress, their staff, law enforcement agents, Secret Service people, and so forth. So they've used all those means, and they still can't figure out who this person is, but they believe now that they have a person who was involved in assaulting Officer Sicknick, and they want to figure out who that person was.
Pete, officials have a video that shows the attack on Sicknick and the lead up to it. What else have we learned there? I understand you say they're not necessarily sure who the suspect is, but what have they been able to glean from that video?
Well, so to be very precise and careful here, what the FBI is saying, or what law enforcement officials are telling us that the FBI has concluded here, is that there is a video or a still picture, or both, showing someone spraying a chemical irritant at Officer Sicknick. They want to know who that person is. Okay. Now, they're not saying at this point that's what contributed to his death, because that's not the part of the case right now that these investigators are looking at. They want to look at anybody who was involved in assaulting Officer Sicknick using physical force, chemical irritants, or whatever, and that's the status of the investigation.
All right, Pete, thank you so much for updating us on this one. We appreciate it.
Hey, NBC News viewers, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down here, and click on any of the videos over here to watch the latest interviews, show highlights, and digital exclusives. Thanks for watching.